All right, your character should be rigged. At this point, you should be able to go into pose mode and wiggle these bones around and see your character moving and distorting based on how the bones are moving. If you don't, go back and look at the previous few videos for some, clarification. At this point, we should be ready though to start animating this character. So we're going to treat this as though we're going to export this thing and use it in a game engine, because that's what I'm going to wind up doing with all your characters later. So we have another tab that we can use for this called animation. I can click right here. This is almost set up right. I've got my character here with his armature set up. I've got another view here of just the scene without that armature, with that armature hidden, I guess. And then down here I've got my dope sheet. This is going to be where I place my keyframes and adjust my pose through time here. So I've got this little timeline. However, to set this up for a game engine, usually we don't want to do one long animation. We want to have discrete actions that our character can do. So for this assignment, it's going to be a parade. So we want to have our characters doing some kind of basic walk cycle, or in this guy's case, a hop cycle. So let's do it. Let's get it set up anyways. So we don't want the normal dope sheet for this. We instead will use this drop down to find the action editor. So this is going to let us make a collection of discrete actions. So for a game, you might have run, jump, wave hello, whatever. But we can save all of those different actions as discrete animations. And that's what this lets us do. So I'll go ahead and click this new button right here. This is what's going to let us add different actions. And I'll give it a name. I'll call this hopping. You might call it running or whatever. And I'll go to the side view here. And now I can click this record button. And I can start adjusting positions of different bones here. And you can see that every time I do that, it adds a frame to this animation. Now you might have noticed it only seems to add one at a time. If I have them all selected, it shows them all here. I believe if I toggle this setting here, so this little thing here says only show selected. So you can turn that on and off if you have a ton of bones and it's very confusing and you just want to show frames for the bone that you have selected if they exist. But my character is so simple, I'll just turn that off so I can see all of these keyframes all at once. So yeah, I'll just get them set up here like I've already done with basically a standing pose. This is also where it's helpful to have named those bones. You can see I didn't do that, so this is a little bit confusing. Now at this point, I want to just start animating this guy. So I will jump ahead a few frames. I'll come to 5, and I'll create a new key pose. So I want him to crouch down like he's getting ready for a big jump. Maybe he'll lean back. Like that. And you can see it automatically tweens between these two poses. I'll go to 10. And I'm just trying to space them evenly for now. Show him extending out like this. Maybe this gets tipped up off the ground. Oh, I can see here, here's a problem, is this bone is starting to move already from here to here. So I can select this keyframe here. I'll press Control-C to copy it, and then Control-V there. So now that bone is going to stay put until here, and then I can start to release. I might even move this a little bit forward so it only starts tipping a little after. But actually I'm getting ahead of myself. I think I'll just try to keep it to discrete poses here, here, here. And let's see, we'll add another one, another few frames out. And the way this is working, you can see that my character's base moves everything else. So I'm trying really hard to start with where the base is and then work up from there. And maybe actually it shouldn't be rotated so much. There's ways to change this so we have a little easier time controlling our character. Maybe that's even a little too far forward. But for now, we'll just do it the most basic way. And then we can have him come down like this. There we go. Not an amazing animation. Maybe I'll make this point, these 2 points, a little higher up. Some more dramatic hop. And then bring this forward a little bit. So he's landed like that. Okay. So, like I've kind of alluded to, I think it's really the best way to set up an animation is to go through and figure out those key poses first, and then worry about the details in between later. To the point where you can even change our interpolation mode to constant. I'll show you what that looks like in a second here. So now you can see that it's not lerping between these, it's just playing through them all. So I can just play what I've got here. If I want it to loop a little more tightly, I can choose a different endpoint for it here. So this is a good way to get a general sense of what this animation is like. So maybe I want to even add another pose in between these, where he's crouched down a little bit, like that. Give his landing a little bit more weight. Oh, and it got messed up here. I'll copy all these, not all of them, some of them, and paste it here like that. That's not right. Okay, so I'll move these back, I guess. I see what I'm doing here. Okay. And then we can do that. So I'm kind of laying out like a scaffolding for how this animation is going to be. If I wanted it to go a little faster, you can, in this editor down here for these keyframes, you can move these frames around with the G key, just like in any other edit mode. You can press the A key to select all, move them around. And if I wanted to even just try speeding this up a little bit, I'll put my playhead here at 0, and then I can use the S key to scale these keyframes. So it's the same animation, but a little bit shorter now. There we go, that's pretty good. And now I can go back and change that interpolation mode again. That's key, interpolation mode, and then we can set it to be, let's see, one of these other ones. Probably not linear, but maybe Bezier. Maybe I'll, and then I can adjust the timing of these poses so it's a little better. Something is a little off here. But anyway, we're trying to do just the most basic version of these animations for this first part, so I think I'll leave this be. There's other things I could do to clean this up, but That seems all right for a first pass at some animation. One other tip, just like with our materials and textures, like I talked about, it's really easy, and you can click this duplicate button here to add new actions. It's really easy to add more actions than you really want, and then be stuck with a bunch of them here. So if you want to get rid of animations that you've made that were kind of mistakes or just bad for whatever reason, you can go up here to our outliner. You can switch to the Blender file here, and you should be able to find those animations. Where are they? Let's see. Armatures. Oh yeah, here it is, actions. And you can see I've got all these different actions here that I've made. I just want the one hopping animation, so I can delete these other ones. Yeah, another thing that's good to do if you have multiple actions that you're doing is press this little shield button next to them. So this basically, Blender has a kind of strange system with this internal data, where if something's not actively using it, it'll try to get rid of it the next time you save and quit your project. So this tells it to save this data block even if it has no users, basically. So for any animation that you want to save and export as part of your file, make sure that thing is checked. Lastly, when you're ready to export this file, you can go to File, Export, and for this I would export actually in FBX, and it should automatically include, especially if this box is checked here, all actions. So king animated.fbx, and then you can click Save, Export FBX, and you should be good. So you can upload that file along with your textures and stuff to Sketchfab. Yeah. All right, that's it for this animation demo.